Welcome to the Lost in Possession podcast. My name's Jamie and here's the weekly FPL video. And today it's talking about the captaincy options because international break is over. But this has got to be the hardest game week for your captain choice, with all teams not really having a good fixture standing out. Now let's get straight into it. He's the highest owned player. He's probably still going to be the most captained this week due to the fact of inactive players, and also he's at home, and that's of course Erling Haaland. Now Liverpool at home is a difficult fixture. Even for City, that's sort of one of the toughest games to have at home, if not the toughest game. However, he did have a bit of a knock during the international break, so this could be putting off a lot of players. However, from reports, what I've seen, because I'm keeping up to date, because I need to know if my main striker's fit against Liverpool in the 12:30 kickoff, is I think he will be fit for the game. It seems to be a minor injury where they thought, you know what, the Scotland game, it doesn't actually matter too much for them, for Norway. So he's not going to risk it and not going to play, but will be fit for the City game. Like I said before, he's very highly owned. As we all know, he's probably in your team. He's definitely in mine. And currently, he's the one with the captain armband. But that could definitely change with the other options. It's also something that will be said for another player as well. Some people don't like the early kickoffs for it. And to be honest, if you've got that sort of ritual, I'd avoid it. I think you can get away with it, because as much as I'd love it, I don't see him getting a big hat-trick, a massive haul. He could definitely get a few goals, but it's more unlikely than when we play Bournemouth or Luton and other clubs at home. So let's go on to the second player. He's also in the 12:30 kickoff. Once again, highly owned, is Mo Salah. Most difficult game of the fixture list for Liverpool is City away. That's not being biased. That just is a fact. However, he's got such a good record against City. I know when Liverpool score, he's most likely the person with a goal. He takes the penalties when they get some. He's there on the he'll play like in a counter kind of attacking way, and it fits him very well. And he's been so clinical against City. I've seen it time and time again. So that does mean he can easily pop up with a goal. And Mo Salah, as he's shown over year and years, is pretty much fixture proof overall for when you're picking captains. And like I say, there's not that many great options. So he's definitely one you can consider. But I think if you're choosing out of Haaland and Salah, you go with the home team. Now, Salah hasn't actually blanked. I think he's only blanked once this season, which is remarkable. But once again, like I say, the home team normally has the advantage in the City-Liverpool game. I hope I'm not jinxing it for myself. But that's sort of where I would be in my sort of mindset, excluding the sort of City bias I will have. I would pick the home team out of these two if you've just got these two and that's your decision. Now, on to before I continue with Salah, City conceded 4 versus Chelsea. Now, in my opinion, Liverpool are a much better attacking side than Chelsea. I don't mean that disrespectfully to Chelsea. I just think Liverpool are a top quality attacking side. So, if we concede 4 there, it definitely shows vulnerabilities. So, therefore, I think there is definitely a chance. I don't see City having a clean sheet. As much as I'd like it, I don't see it. So if City aren't going to keep a clean sheet, I'd say the goal scorer will be Salah. That's how I see it. So do take that into mind. But away from home, probably an avoid. Now moving on to teams with a bit easier fixtures is Son. Now, Villa have been very, very good since Emery's taken over, and I think the stats showed they've only got less points in that time than City, which is absolutely remarkable. They're flying in the league. However, if you look at Villa's home record and Villa's away record, and the same really under Emery, just as manager in general, they're so much better at home. So with Spurs being the home team, Son looks like a great captain choice for him. Maddison is out, therefore I don't think you need to pick between the. You can't pick between the two. It's Son, or I think you don't go with anyone from Spurs, especially as a captain option. Son playing in the sort of more striker role, which I think's benefited him massively, especially for FPL reasons. So Son can see sort of a great haul. Like, he can definitely get a great haul, and I think the fixture, even though Villa are done very well, is looking a lot better than the Haaland and Salah picks. However, Spurs do have a lot of injuries. They've got suspensions. Romero's out. Van der Veen. You've got Maddison, as I mentioned before. Could that damage Spurs? And they probably won't be playing as well, in my opinion, as they had started off the sort of season. So, therefore, it could be that he doesn't get any supply, or he gets very little, or he's got to create it all on his own. So I do think Son is a good pick, but there are sort of question marks over it, which is why it's making it such a hard game week to pick a captain. And then lastly, on the other side of London, Saka. Brentford away. So if it was at home, I think more people would be jumping on him here. But away from home, Brentford have shown that they can be a very, very difficult team to play against, especially for the top sides. However, they've not been picking up enough points, and they've been leaking goals. So that's where Saka could get some real enjoyment. Now, he played for England in the week. I wouldn't say he looked amazing. I wouldn't say he looked bad either. Just didn't really shine. I think he's been carrying a knock for most of this season. And unfortunately, Arteta's not resting him. Southgate's not resting him. So he's not been given the time to, recover properly. So that could be a bit of a detriment to him, in my opinion. The other attacking options at Arsenal, Odegaard's not been on it for an FPL sort of point of view. Martinelli and Trossard, you don't know who's starting, so that's just a massive risk, and you don't want that with your captain. Maybe to play one of them, but for your captain, you just can't really have it. And then up front, you've got Nketiah, and I think Jesus is back. But once again, I don't think you're going to be jumping at them for captaincy options, even if most people won't have either in their team as well. So I think Saka's probably the best option at Arsenal, unless you do go back and go to defenders. But you normally want an attacking sort of option. Other games to sort of mention is Chelsea-Newcastle. I think it's at Newcastle, so that's not great either for picking sort of maybe like a Trippier who can get definitely like double-digit hauls in certain games. It's not really one that you've got anything. United, I actually can't remember who they're playing off the top of my head, but they're not screaming at, none of their players are screaming at you going, they're on form. I think if you're going to go a United player, you go Fernandes, takes the penalties and does pop up with assists and goals. But United just are not screaming that they're sort of in massive form where they're going to be able to just like batter sides and get you a goal and an assist or 2 goals, something like that. I think the upside is very, very low. So that's why I wouldn't go with any of them. But finally, I would say do not panic with your captaincy option. Now, whoever you pick, whether it's one of the 4 I mentioned or any other player, I think this week is you've just got to go with your head. Just go, that'll do, that's it. As long as your other players will be able to cover any massive sort of takes, sort of like if you pick, say, Saka and then Son scores 2, you're going to be a bit disappointed that you didn't pick him, but I think it's just one of them weeks where it's a bit of luck of the draw. You could choose. I've said sort of I'd pick Haaland over Salah, and that's I've got Haaland, Salah, and Saka, and I don't know who I'm picking out of them three, but I could easily go Salah's away from home, so I'm not going to pick him. Haaland blanks. Salah gets the goal, and Saka also scores, and then I've picked the complete wrong one. It's going to happen. This one game week will not ruin your whole season, so don't worry too much. But that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you don't mind, and it helps us out a lot, if you could give us a like, any comments on who you would have as captain, and to please subscribe, because we're trying to grow this channel, provide better content for you, and keep going on our weekly football videos and weekly FPL videos. We could even throw in some other stuff, hopefully fairly soon into the new year. We'd like to hit 250 by Christmas, so please help us out on that. Thanks and good luck with your FPL week.